Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Sonata #1 from Image Comic, a great debut sci-fi fantasy story written by David Hine with artwork by Brian Haberlin. He is also a co-writer as well. Gerard Van Dyke on the coloring, Francis Takanaka on the lettering. A masterful and elegant job from the entire creative team. The basic premise of this book is that there's a world and there's this planet, this civilization. Their world is running low on resources, so they find another planet suitable and they want to move their population over there. Of course, it's a slow and arduous process to do this, right? So it's about the science behind doing things like that, but the fantasy element comes in from the different creatures that are on this new world, and they're working with the native life form, working out a cohabitation with peace and other things like that, right? But there is another group of settlers from another planet, and there involves our conflict. Really interesting stuff. It's a great story, gets right into the heart of it. It's got great immersive world building. It's got richly detailed and nuanced characters, great themes about it, a really great setting, and beautiful artwork. The artwork is simply just striking. It's got great clean line work, but it also uses like 3D modeling on the backgrounds and some of the creatures and some of the coloring. It adds texture to it. It really works together. Sometimes when there's too much CG in a comic book, as well as line work, it doesn't really seem to work right. This one, it just melds together. It makes one fantastic experience. The color palettes, the flow of the story, the composition. This is the best comic book I read all week. Sonata #1 from Image Comics. This was just fantastic. If you check it out and you like it, let me know in the comments down below exactly what you thought about it. Sonata #1. Pick of the week. Let's jump over to Marvel because they got their own like space book out this week that's going to be a big deal. Silver Surfer Black. It's going to be a big deal first of all because it's written by Donny Cates. It's also got artwork by Tradd Moore. Tradd Moore, his style is very stylish. It's very outlandish. It's very over the top, and I absolutely just love it. And it's something that's really perfect for the Silver Surfer. This book was awesome. You're also probably going to be hearing a lot of stuff about this book because it's got some crazy bonkers things that happen inside of it that are really going to make the Marvel comic book community, especially the Devil's Advocates, really crazy and excited, especially if you've been keeping up with Donny Cates' other work at Marvel Comics. Silver Surfer is a must-read for you. It follows Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer, and what happened to him after, in the first issue of Guardians of the Galaxy, him and a few others at the reading of the Last Will and Testament of Thanos were sucked into a black hole by the Black Order. So Silver Surfer basically helps his friends escape, but he goes on his own journey, and his own journey leads him to really thrilling and unexpected places. Really great artwork, really great job by Donny Cates of understanding the concept of the Silver Surfer, but also the character of Norrin Radd. He's really doing Jack Kirby and Stan Lee proud. At the back of here, Donny Cates kind of talks a little bit about what this means to him as far as a tribute to Stan Lee, and it does that job excellently. And Tradd Moore really does a great tribute to Jack Kirby, John Buscema, and other Silver Surfer artists that have come before, because it's awesome, it's cosmic, it's weird, it's wild, it's bonkers. It's really cool stuff. If you're a fan of Tradd Moore, it's different, it's surreal, it's unique, it's out there, but it is awesome, and it's perfect for Silver Surfer Black. That's got my stamp of approval this week. Immortal Hulk #19 is out with another gnarly cover by Alex Ross. So the new Abomination is fully unleashed, and it's crazy. And this issue's got some more really horrific type scenes in it, set in a very distinctly Marvel superhero universe. Really great stuff. A little bit of a focus on the new version of the Harpy in here. Al Ewing's doing some crazy stuff in the Immortal Hulk, and he just keeps pushing those boundaries. It keeps getting crazier. It keeps getting more twisted, more messed up. It's crazy. Immortal Hulk #19 is a really fun issue. If you've been liking Immortal Hulk, you're going to like it. And once again, Joe Bennett, along with Rai Jose and Paul Mounts, helping him do the best work of his career, Great detailed artwork that's really shocking and impactful when it needs to be. Immortal Hulk number 19 out this week. Spider-Man Life story number 4. This is a story by Chip Zdarsky with artwork by Mark Bagley that tells the entire cohesive story of Spider-Man as if Peter Parker aged in real time from the 60s and all the way through. And issue number 4, because each issue takes a particular decade as its setting, is about the 90s. So this story takes place in 1995. It's got a lot of stuff in there about Doc Ock. It's got the ultimate fate of Aunt May in here. It's got what Peter Parker, how does he exist as Spider-Man in his 40s? Really interesting stuff. You get a little bit of Tony Stark, the outer world of the Marvel Universe, and of course, Chip Zdarsky's take of the Clone Saga. Really cool stuff. I've been really liking this book. It's nice to see Zdarsky be able to explore what it would be like if Peter Parker aged in real life. That's really not something that we usually get to see in comic books, right? So it's really cool to see this story get told and to pick up on all those threads, those overall threads of the Spider-Man story. Mark Bagley, it's always great to have him on a new Spider-Man book. This is some of his best work on this series to date, in my opinion. We got a whole slew of Spider-Man books, including Amazing Spider-Man number 23, and I know we all rejoiced at the last issue because it was finally the end of the Hunted storyline. Hunted was a great story, really liked it, thought it was a great spiritual successor to Kraven's Last Hunt. But it just went on a little bit too long, right? Well, it's still not over. This is actually an epilogue, but it does do a great job of tidying up all those loose threads just dangling around in Central Park post-Hunted story. So it deals a lot with every single dangling thread. Really, really does. And it sets up what is to come. A great issue, but once again, just this Hunted story just kind of went on a long time. But it is cool that Nick Spencer took an entire issue to kind of wrap all that stuff up, because usually that stuff gets wrapped up too quickly or just kind of left there dangling. But all in all, good issue, and Ryan Ottley was back on the artwork for that. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 7 is out this week. Tom Taylor's doing a great job on this title. This issue, the artwork takes a little bit of a dip just because Ken Lashley comes in, and it's not quite the artwork that we're used to from someone like Juan Cabal, is it? But Nolan Woodard is there as the colorist to kind of tie it in just a little bit. It's a great story about Aunt May, her new direction, and her story and her life and what she's going to do with her possible final years. Really good stuff. Tom Taylor really knows how to tell stories that other writers, maybe it would seem too preachy, or maybe it would seem too try-hard. Tom Taylor does it, and he does it well, and he's doing it really well in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Number 7 out this week, plus the Prowler's involved. Always excited for that. Superior Spider-Man number 7 is here. I was going to go ahead and skip out on this title because over the last couple issues, it's kind of waned in my interest just a little bit, but not only is this a War of the Realms tie-in, but it's a new appearance from the West Coast Avengers, so Quentin, Gwenpool, Fuse, America, Hawkeye, and the others. Really fun stuff, and the Gwenpool stuff in this issue in particular is really, really funny. The way she breaks that fourth wall, the way she comments on the empty tie-in in an empty tie-in, real fun stuff. I really did like it. This book has not been bad. It's been actually really, really good. It's been a fun, light, brisk read. It's nice to see Octavius taking this road of redemption and the rest of the superhero community having to kind of have deal with that, right? But the best thing about this issue is that it's really fun and it's very funny and amusing, especially with like I said, all the meta commentary by Gwenpool on the worthless event, basically, if you will. Another War of the Realms tie-in is issue number 15 of Venom, which completes the Cullen Bunn 3-issue War of the Realms tie-in in Venom. Donny Cates and company are back on the next issue. But Cullen Bunn's done a great job of keeping the seat warm for Donny Cates while they're getting ready for absolute carnage to be unleashed upon the masses. I know I'm excited. Are you excited? But Venom number 15 is a nice little wrap-up to this little story that is kind of insignificant to the overall arch of what Donny Cates and Stegman and company are doing with Venom. However, it does fit very nicely within that run, within this direction of Venom. And Cullen Bunn did a great job of doing a fill-in that didn't necessarily feel too much like a fill-in or an empty event tie-in, right? But a good job, pretty fun stuff. The art's a little bit inconsistent in this issue, and you'll notice this got like a blood splatter right there, so you're going to see like half of the copies on the shelves that have it, half the copies that don't. I think it's to signify the post-credits scene in here that kind of teases into absolute carnage. Symbiote Spider-Man has the same type thing going on this week, so be on the lookout for that one. I did not read that one, though, because the first 2 issues just didn't do too much for me, but now I got to go back and check out that post-credits scene, because this one was kind of neat. but I'm really, really pumped for Absolute Carnage. Are you? Invaders #6 is out, wrapping up Chip Zdarsky's first arc and really setting up what's to come in this book, and it's big and it's massive, and at the same time it feels like, oh, so that's Namor's plan? Seems like they already did that there, and it seems like they already did that there. However, Chip Zdarsky's still doing a great job of respecting the history of the Invaders and Captain America and Namor and these characters, doing a great character study of Namor, but it turned into something just maybe a little bit more comic booky, a little bit more cheesy in this 6th issue, but the artwork by Butch Guice and Magno, when he does the current day stuff, is nice, and I really do like it. I like the flow of the story. I like the tone of the story. I like the seriousness of this, and at first it felt like it was very subtle, but it's not so subtle anymore, and issue 6 ends it in a way that's going to be very interesting to see how this develops. I'll say that. Invaders #6 out this week. X-Force #9 is here with the penultimate issue. That's right, since Jonathan Hickman's coming at the end of July onto the X-Books, all the X-Books are being canned. That sucks for X-Force because I've really been enjoying this book. Ed Brisson kind of carrying on that Kid Cable thread from Extinction. I've been loving this Kid Cable stuff, and it reinvigorates the X-Force franchise for me, at least the old school X-Force stuff, because as cool as that may have seemed back in the day and at times throughout the run of X-Force, it's just an idea that kind of tired itself. It's like, you know, it's like the C-list X-Men, right? But Ed Brisson knows exactly what he's doing. So does Dylan Burnett on the artwork. Really been liking this book. I'm going to be sad to see it go. I'm going to be sad to see. I think the Kid Cable's days are numbered. But this Kid Strife, man, really like it. Some cool stuff happens to Rachel Summers in there as well. Punisher #12 is here, kicking off a new story by Matthew Rosenberg, continuing on this overall story he's telling, basically Punisher versus Hydra. This is a very exciting issue. This is basically Punisher by way of Rambo. Really cool. Punisher in a jungle against a bunch of Hydra agents, and he has no guns, no artillery, nothing like that. So he's just got to use the jungle as the weapons, and those issues are great. Really fun stuff, and a really nice setup to what's going to be a big confrontation between Frank Castle and Baron Zemo. So I feel like the last few issues kind of took a little bit of a dip, just a little bit of, it just felt like the story was dragging out too long, but right here in this issue, it just completely became, once again, a badass Punisher comic and something I'm really excited about. So check that issue out this week. Ironheart #7 is out this week. It's the start of a new story. It guest stars the Unstoppable Wasp. I love the character of Nadia. I love Riri. They really work well together. Eve Ewing's been doing a great job with this book. This book has been fun, it's been light, it's been fresh, and it feels very classic in the most classic Marvel sense. And I'm really, really digging this book. Lots of fun stuff. No Midnight Fire in this one for my Let's Talk Night Thrasher fans, however. Definitely set up that he'll be up in the next issue, but some really cool things happening in this. And it's a really fun, nice little light commentary on zombies and zombie fandom. Anyway, Ironheart #7 out this week. Let's jump over to DC. They got Event Leviathan #1 out this week. So I've been talking about this one already because I got an early look at this about a month ago. It's an alright issue. If you've been following Bendis' Superman, especially Action Comics, you're interested in what's going on with Event Leviathan, this isn't really going to answer many of your questions whatsoever at all, right? What this does is it basically acts as getting people caught up if they haven't been keeping up with what's been going on in the lead up into Event Leviathan, which has been happening in the pages of Action Comics. The artwork by Alex Maleev is fantastic. It's great. So cool to see him do Batman. Most of this issue, in fact the entirety of this issue, is a conversation between Lois Lane and Batman and maybe a few others about exactly what's going on. It's exposition, but it's exposition done well because the dialogue is very snappy and it's something that writer Brian Michael Bendis is known for. So the dialogue's right there, the artwork is cool, and even takes just talking head scenes and makes it visually interesting. However, it is just a big catch-up issue is what it feels like. It doesn't really move this story forward if you've already been following it, but I guess it does kind of set it up for everybody who hasn't been. Event Leviathan #1, it's alright. It's alright. Superman #12 is here. This is going to be the finale of the House of L, which is the second part of the Unity saga. Superman book by Brian Michael Bendis, man, story-wise, direction-wise, starting to wear thin on me. Wear very, very thin on me. So this is like the wrap-up of this story arc, right? And it's just, once again, not a definitive ending. Nothing really gets resolved. Nothing really moves forward. Just a bunch of dangling little bits. Rogal Zar still doesn't feel that much of a threat. I mean, we're told he's a threat. We're even shown that he's physically a threat to Superman, and we're told that he is responsible for the destruction of Krypton. That's kind of a mystery that's dangling around out there. Is it? Is it not? What's going on? It's a slow build, too slow build sometimes. But the artwork by Ivan Reis is beautiful, and he does the entire issue. Amazing, big, giant splash pages. The perfect artist for Superman, and an okay writer right now. I thought Bendis started off really, really strong with focusing in on the character of Superman and doing some interesting things, especially in the pages of Action Comics, and doing some other things here in Superman. But the overall direction's just meandering about just a little too much for me. But Superman number 12 is out this week. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The Batman Who Laughs is here with issue number 6, no longer the final issue, now the penultimate issue. There will be one more issue because the epic big finale for the Batman Who Laughs is that big. And the setup for that finale, which is in these pages of issue number 6, is big. It's crazy, and all the plans of the Batman Who Laughs Batman Who Laughs comes to fruition in a big, epic, dark, insane type way. Jock on the pencils, doing a great job. Scott Snyder's doing some of the craziest, most bonkers work of his superhero writing career. He has just gotten better and better and better because it just seems like as he's progressed as a writer, as far as his superhero work goes, he's just starting to let go of any kind of restriction, of any kind of like formula of what you're supposed to do. And he's just telling bonkers, crazy, off-the-wall stories, and he's doing that with Batman Who Laughs. He's making his final statements on characters like Gordon, and of course Gordon's son. Really liking that, and Jock's artwork is hits the wrong nerve that it's supposed to when you read this book. Batman Who Laughs, number 6, out this week. Other Batman books out this week. Batman and the Outsiders, number 2, with a very action-packed, brisk issue. Brian Hill is doing a great job with these characters, with his script, with his story structure. His stories just flow so well. He's got an excellent sense of pace. He's aided by Dexter Soy on the artwork, and the artwork is dynamic. It is fluid. It is great. It's got great composition. It's got just great design sense. It's action-packed. The colors bounce off the page by Gandini. Absolutely great stuff. Really liking it. I'd like a little bit more about the Outsiders. This is more of a plot and action-driven story, it seems like, but Brian Hill really excels at those, and it's evident in Batman the Outsiders number 2. Detective Comics 1005 is here to end this medieval story, this whole thing with Arkham, the Arkham Knight, the comic book version, right? So, Peter Tomasi, his first story, Mythology, I liked it, but the ending kind of like, that's a little bit of a cheat at the end of that story. This Arkham Knight story, I haven't really been liking it. I do not like the ending. I do think that Walker's penciling is some of the best of his recent career, absolutely. But Tomasi just, I don't know. I just did not like this Arkham Knight story. I didn't like who it was revealed to be. I didn't like the backstory. I didn't like the involvement of some of the other Arkham villains. It just falls flat to me. It just doesn't feel impactful. It just doesn't, I don't know, I didn't like it. I didn't like the story on Detective. Flash number 72, though, this year 1 story from Flash is really, really good. Basically paying a tribute to the Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli work, right? But doing it in a very vibrant, energetic, kinetic Flash type way that should be done for the Flash, right? Howard Porter's doing some great artwork, really doing some interesting things with the layouts and the pacing and the timing of the comic book. Joshua Williamson's doing a great job of telling a familiar tale, but doing it a little bit different, updating the origin a little bit, making some things maybe explained a little bit better that didn't get explained so well at first, throwing out the importance of the turtle very early on and stuff like that, building into right now the beginning of Captain Cold and stuff like that. So really interesting stuff happening in Flash right now, even though it's a year 1 story and you may be like, well, we already know how Barry Allen became the Flash. It's a really fun story. It's very kinetic. It's very action-packed. It moves very fast or slowly when it needs to, but it's an excellent exercise in comic book pacing. Really, if you want to know about how to slow up time and speed up time in a comic book, pay attention to what Howard Porter's doing in the Flash right now. Really great stuff. Hawkman number 13 is here. We're paying close attention to this one because Hawkman's been one of the standout hits from DC. Under the radar, nobody was expecting this, right? Brian Hitch all of a sudden became that superstar artist that he once was. Robert Vendetti's telling a really cool story and doing almost the impossible of taking all these different origins and retcons of Hawkman and making them make sense in one cohesive story. But now Brian Hitch is gone. So how much of that success was the artwork? A lot of it. However, this is a great issue, a really cool issue. It's a one-shot story. It's just a one and done. It starts off, you're like, this doesn't feel that interesting. The artwork is good, though, by Conrad. Is that Will Conrad? Let me double check on his name. Yeah, that's Will Conrad with Jeremiah Shipper on the coloring. But Vendetti does a great job of keeping the momentum of Hawkman I like the idea that because there have been so many reincarnations and lives, the many lives of Hawkman, that we can tell stories from previous lives of Hawkman, and that's something that Vendetti's been doing in this book, and he does in this one. And just the structure of the story and what the story actually is and how it plays out, it's a great little, it's a great one. It would make a great Twilight Zone episode. I don't know, but Hawkman, number 13, post Brian Hitch, still good. Absolutely. From Wonder Comics, we got Wonder Twins number 5. Mark Russell is telling a very tongue-in-cheek, light, humorous story that really speaks on a lot of social issues that he's very passionate about, right? It does so in a way that's not overly preachy or anything like that, but it does it in a very fun and vibrant way, using characters, the Wonder Twins, characters I have never, ever really liked or responded to so well, right? I mean, they're just cheesy, right? But they're endearing, they're charming in the pages of Wonder Twins, especially with Stephen Byrne on the artwork, just doing a fantastic job. It's cartoony, it's silly, it's over the top, but it's filled with dense themes and thoughts about society and really kooky, interesting things with typically uninteresting characters. Great job. Wonder Twins are doing really good. So let's jump over to Aftershock. There's a new one from Christopher Sabella and Chris Visions. It's Trust Fall number 1. So Trust Fall number 1, it's about this woman who is part of a family, a crime family, if you will, right? And she can teleport objects, but not herself. So hence Trust Fall, meaning she has to rely on her family to pull her out of these situations because she's a big thief, right? They're moving up in the criminal world, right? So this does a great job of setting up this world, of setting up this family, and it's got beautiful, brilliant artwork from Chris Visions. Really cool stuff, graffiti-like a graffiti type style, really vibrant, really energetic, leaping off the page, great textured coloring, lots of dense images, lots of dense words. It's all in there, but it all flows so well. Sabella's excellent at fitting in a lot of words. Typically, you'd look at so many words in a comic book, you'd be like, that's going to be too verbose. But the way that it flows, Sabella's really good at that. And him and Visions, the only problem with this book is it gets a little confusing because it feels like the connection between the art and the writing at times gets a little unclear. From the very beginning, I was very unsure what was going on. I had to try extra hard to pay closer attention. Now, I like books that make me work, but for an issue number 1, I really got to get hooked in. But this was one I had to read a little bit slower at times, go back and reread a couple things, look at the art in a different way, and then think about it again once I was finished to really kind of grasp the full thing. So it's not quite as solid of a debut as it should be, but it's a decent start to a really interesting story that's very engaging, and the artwork is so kinetic. I just wish the story and the art would present itself just a little bit more clearly. But I am going to definitely come back and check that out for an issue 2. From Aftershock, we got issue 3 of Orphan Age. So in a world where all of a sudden all the adults die, skip ahead 20 years, what have the kids built? What is their society like? And that's what Orphan Age is. They're doing a great job, right? In this issue 3, even if you haven't read what's come before, you could read this one issue and get the tone and nature of this story and the characters, and I think you would really get into it. Orphan Age is a great book. It's a great concept. Ted Anderson is the writer. Nuno Plati is the co-creator and the artist. The art is very simple, very lean. It's very animated, cartoonish type, but it handles very delicate situations, very action-packed situations and horrific situations in a very fine way. So it's a story about a world. It's a post-apocalyptic story, but it really hits the right chords. Really cool concept. Definitely something that one day, just concept alone, will get picked up for a TV show or something. Get on board right now. Orphan Age number 3 out this week. From Image Comics, Gagor number 2 is out this week. I loved issue number 1. Ken Gehring is the writer, artist, creator of this book. The first issue was vibrant. It had a lot of energy to it. It had a great flow, great sense of composition. Second issue really builds on this world, really builds and introduces fully the character of Gagor, which is a Hulkish type character. Really great stuff though. Builds up the world a little bit more. Very interesting. Still has that great delicate composition. It really flows and guides your eye right across the page very excellently. Really cool stuff. Gagor number 2 was not a disappointment. If you liked issue 1, you're going to love issue number 2. Morning in America, number 4 is out from Oni Press, and writer Magdalene Visaggio with artwork by Claudia Aguirre and lettering by Zach Sam. A fantastic book. This is the best issue yet. I thought issue 1 was great. Issue 2 improved a little bit. Issue 3 did a great job of continuing that momentum, but issue 4 really kicks it into gear, not just with the story, not just with the action, not just with the art, not just with the dialogue, not just with the characters, but with the depths of these characters. Some great moments in this issue, really great human stuff, but really great sci-fi type stuff. At times it has a Stranger Things, E.T., 80s, Goonies type feel to it, but it really has its own distinctive voice and its own unique style to it. Great stuff. And the artwork, Aguirre's artwork is great, and the coloring in this issue is the best in the series yet, and some of the best coloring on shelves this week. Comes in the pages of Morning in America. The team has done an amazing job. Y'all rock, absolutely. Also from Magdalene Visaggio, we got Calamity Case number 4. This is the final issue of her Dark Horse series, and it's a great wrap-up to a really direct, a very direct, fun, action-y story about a woman who is running away from her problems, who basically learns that you can't run away from messing up, right? And the ending may not be your typical Hollywood ending or whatever, but it's a very strong ending. I think it's a very bold ending. I think it's exactly the ending the story needs. Corn Howell has done a great job with the artwork throughout, especially with coloring by Valentina Pinto, and Zach Sam on the lettering as well as lettering Morning in America, doing a great job with that. But a really satisfying conclusion of this story about what happens when you realize you can't run away anymore. Really cool stuff. Calamity Case number 4. Out this week. Umbrella Academy Hotel Oblivion number 7. This is the final issue of book 3 of the Umbrella Academy. So if you've never read Umbrella Academy, I highly recommend that you do. If you like the TV show, you should totally read the comic book. The ending of book 3 is big, it's bombastic, it's out there, it's crazy, it's bonkers. It's exactly what you expect from writer Gerard Way and artist Gabriel Ba. And it introduces at the end some new twists and turns in the world of the Umbrella Academy that are very, very exciting. And if you read closely at the very end, editor Scott Ali basically says he hopes book 4 comes out early next year. That's so exciting. To not have to wait as long as we did between book 2 and 3. I would really like that. However, we shall see what happens. But Umbrella Academy is a great, vibrant, crazy book. If you like Gerard Way's work, like on Doom Patrol and stuff like that, and you've never read Umbrella Academy, you definitely deserve it. Absolutely. And speaking of what you deserve and treating yourself, you should definitely treat yourself to the Ice Cream Man book 3 that's out this week. The 3rd trade paperback of the Ice Cream Man book. One of the best books on shelves right now. A very chilling horror anthology comic with one overall story that gets crazy. It gets out there. But this book does such a great job of telling stories of hope and despair, of suffering and joy. And it does it in a very bittersweet, melancholy, just sickly sweet, no comic book has ever unsettled me like some issues of Ice Cream Man can. Each issue is a winner and one of the best comics on the shelves. Book 3 is out. Book 1 and 2 obviously already out. If you haven't checked it out, you should do so. I'll throw links down below. You can check them out on Amazon at a great price. Help support PCP at the same time. Also, if you want to help support PCP, you can jump on over to patreon.com/PCP and help us there and have access to things like the PCP After Hours podcast, a little bit of daily video, not daily, but video newsletters every once in a while for me, and a whole lot more fun like that. So thank you guys for watching the video. Let me know what you're reading, what you think about it in the comments down below. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And join us at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. We got a brand new podcast debuting Wednesday this week, all about X-Men. So be sure to check that out at popculturephilosophers.com or subscribe on iTunes, other podcast services, things like that. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.